A lot of people ruin this moment by being too touched by it. The cat comes over, lifts its tail, presses its face or side against your leg, maybe loops once around your ankle, maybe leans its cheek into your hand for a second, and then, just as quickly, it walks away. And the human conclusion arrives almost instantly. That was shallow. That was transactional. That did not really mean much. But that is often the mistake. Because in many cats, the misunderstanding does not begin when they leave. It begins when we assume the value of the moment depends on how long they stay. What looks brief can be exact. What looks emotionally small may actually be behaviorally precise. And if you keep seeing this as a half-finished interaction, you may miss the real message entirely. Especially because the visible sequence is so easy to recognize. Your cat approaches with intention. The body softens, but not completely. The chest may not fully drop. The shoulders can stay slightly lifted. There is contact, but not collapse. They rub, pause, maybe turn their head as if checking the space again, and then move off toward the doorway, the window, the chair, the end of the hallway. To a human eye, it can feel almost teasing, as if the cat opened something and then withdrew from it. But many times, that is not withdrawal. That is completion. Part of the problem is that humans tend to read affection through duration, stillness, and mutual lingering. If someone comes close and then leaves, we are tempted to read the exit as reduced feeling. We treat the departure as the emotional truth of the moment. The rub becomes the prelude. The leaving becomes the verdict. Cats often organize social contact differently. Rubbing is not random. It is not empty. And it is not always an invitation to prolong the interaction. In feline behavior, rubbing can be social recognition, scent exchange, orientation, greeting, reassurance, or a brief form of connection that stays comfortable precisely because it does not become too much. Cats have scent glands around the cheeks, chin, forehead, and body. When they rub on you, that contact can carry social and spatial meaning at the same time. It can be relational but still measured, warm but controlled. That is why the exit matters. If you read the rub as a request for more, you may do what many people do without realizing it. You reach lower. You pet longer. You call the cat back. You step toward them. You turn a clean moment of chosen contact into a thicker, more human-shaped interaction. And then the cat speeds up, flicks its tail, sidesteps your hand, or leaves with more force than it would have if the moment had simply been allowed to end where the cat wanted it to end. Now the human feels rejected. But the tension was often added after the meaningful part had already happened. This is one of the quietest ways relationships with cats get distorted. Not through cruelty, not through neglect, through overreading. Through the assumption that if the cat came close, the cat must want the kind of closeness we would want next. Many cats do not move into contact as an open-ended emotional surrender. They move into it with a dosage, a form, a boundary already built in. You can often see this in the body before they leave. The approach is real, but partial. The pressure of the rub may be deliberate, yet the paws stay ready. The body curves into you, but the feet remain organized for movement. The ears are soft, not pinned, but awareness stays active. Sometimes they rub and then stop just outside the range where prolonged touch would begin. Sometimes they angle the side of the face toward you, but not the whole torso. Sometimes the tail stays lifted in a friendly arc, yet the body is already turning before your hand finishes the stroke. That is not emotional confusion. It is clarity. And once you start seeing that clarity, another pattern appears. These brief contact and exit moments often increase under certain conditions, at thresholds, near doors, during routine transitions, when you have just come home, right before feeding, after the cat wakes from rest, in the middle of mild household movement, when the room is active but not chaotic, when the cat wants connection without committing to full stillness, when the nervous system is open but not settled enough for sustained contact. That is why the same cat who rubs you and leaves in the kitchen may later curl beside you on the bed. Same cat, different state, different body, different cost of staying. This is where people often flatten the meaning. They treat all affection as one category, then judge the quality of the bond by how much it resembles the deepest form of closeness they have seen before. But feline connection is not usually that blunt. It changes with arousal, safety, temperature, fatigue, noise, handling history, and the simple fact that some forms of closeness are easier to tolerate in motion than in stillness. A cat can be socially open and physically selective at the same time. That is not contradiction. That is feline precision. And here is the deeper layer that many people miss. Sometimes the leaving is not separate from the affection. It is one of the conditions that makes the affection possible. In other words, the exit is not always the failure of the moment. It may be part of the design of the moment. A cat that knows it can come in, make contact, and leave without being trapped is often more willing to keep initiating contact over time. The freedom of the exit protects the honesty of the approach. The interaction stays clean because the cat remains in control of the dosage. That control is not coldness. In many cats, it is what allows trust to stay intact. So when a cat rubs you and walks away, what you may be seeing is not a small bond. You may be seeing a well-regulated one. This matters even more with cats who are affectionate but threshold sensitive. The ones who greet warmly, then resist too much follow-up. The ones who seek you out, yet do best when you do not flood the moment. The ones people describe as inconsistent, confusing, hot and cold. Often, they are not inconsistent at all. They are highly exact. They can enjoy contact and still need space immediately after. They can be attached and still need movement. They can want closeness while managing stimulation carefully. What humans call mixed signals can, in cats, be very coherent signals. And once that clicks, other behaviours start to reorganize too. The cat waiting near you, but not on you. The cat sleeping at your feet instead of your chest. The cat visiting for 10 seconds, then returning 20 minutes later. The cat who greets with a full body rub, then sits 3 feet away, facing the room. These are not always lesser versions of connection. Sometimes they are the form connection takes when the cat is balancing social desire with bodily comfort, vigilance, heat, touch sensitivity, or simple preference for clean exits. We often look for affection in the places where the cat remains. But in many relationships, some of the clearest trust appears in how the cat is able to leave. Not because leaving proves distance, because safe attachment includes the right to disengage without damaging the bond. That is a very different model of closeness than the human one. And it is why this moment can feel smaller than it really is. The cat may not be offering a long emotional performance. It may be offering a concise, well-shaped act of social connection. I know you. I'm comfortable enough to approach. I want contact, and I also need this to stay at the level my body can hold right now. That is not an insult. That is information. And sometimes it is care in one of its most feline forms. So the next time your cat rubs against you and then walks away, watch the sequence more carefully. Notice whether the body came in with intention. Notice whether the contact was soft but brief, whether the pause stayed ready, whether the turn away looked abrupt or simply complete. Notice whether the interaction worsens only when you try to extend it. Notice where it happens, when it happens, and what changes the cat's ability to stay. Because the real question is not, why did my cat leave? It may be, what did the cat already give before leaving that I was trained not to recognize? Sometimes the bond is not missing. Sometimes it is just quieter, cleaner, and more exact than human affection tends to be. And once you stop treating the exit as the emotional truth of the moment, you can finally see the contact itself for what it was. Chosen, brief, real, and often far more connected than it looked.